So this video is the top 5 things I don't like about living in Breckenridge, Colorado. Now, this is kind of a tough list to compile because it truly is paradise here. So I really had to think about this one. But if you're coming to Breckenridge, Colorado or Summit County, Colorado, this is Colorado's playground, right? This is where you come to have fun, but there are some drawbacks that maybe you haven't thought about and maybe you should be aware of if you're thinking that you want to live here full time or have an extended stay here, maybe 3 or 4 months out of the year. Number 1, winter. Obviously, you move here for the winter, you want to ski, you want to snowmobile, you want to enjoy all of the winter activities because that's kind of what Colorado is known for. However, winter in some years can last a really, really long time. And when I say a really long time, I mean like basically 90% of the year. One year, I remember I was skiing at Arapahoe Basin, which is just down the road from us, on July 10th. A week after the 4th of July, I was skiing at one of the mountains out here. So it's, not uncommon for winter to last 8, 9, and sometimes even 10 months out of the year. So if you're not a big snow goer or if you don't like the cold weather, it might not be the best place for you. That being said, it is a drier climate, so it's certainly not as cold as the East Coast or the Midwest, but we do get a lot of snow because of our elevation. In Breckenridge, we're at 9,600 feet. About average in the county is around 9,000 feet, so we get a lot of snow. The winters can be really long, so definitely a con if you do not like snow all the time. Driving conditions. The driving conditions, obviously, couple that with the snow. They can get pretty hairy, especially if we get a lot of snow or years like this one where it's particularly colder than it has been in recent years. The roads can ice over, so driving conditions can get pretty hazardous, especially here in Summit County. We've got a lot of tourists that come into town from flat areas like Texas or Florida, and they've never seen snow before, and they get rental cars from these rental companies down in Denver, and these rental companies don't provide good tires on their cars. They'll tell you, oh, we've got all-season tires or all-weather tires. Being around cars for a lot of my life, I understand the difference between all-season, all-weather, and dedicated snow tires or all-terrain tires. All-season and all-weather tires are practically useless in the snow and ice. You really want a good set of snow tires, ice tires, studded tires. Things of that nature are going to help you a lot, but these rental cars don't come with that. So you couple the rental cars not having the proper equipment with tourists who come from flatland and they really don't see snow much or they've never seen snow at all. And the driving conditions can get really hazardous, so definitely something I do not like about living here. I-70. If you're familiar with the interstate highway system in this country, you know about I-70. It's one of the highways that goes across the country, east to west. There's one section of I-70 in particular that is extremely treacherous, and it just so happens to be in this area that we live here, from Denver, right where the flatlands of the states turn into the Rocky Mountains, all the way until the end of the western slope by Grand Junction. So the reason I say I-70 is because you are driving through mountainous terrain, very windy roads, mainly a 2-lane highway for most of that section. So if it does snow, it can get really, really dangerous. You've got a lot of big truckers driving on this road. So if they're not properly prepared, that can also add to the danger. Weekend traffic on I-70 is terrible. If you're looking to come from Denver and come up to Breckenridge to ski for the weekend, traveling on a Saturday morning or a Sunday afternoon to and from is horrible. You're likely to sit in standstill traffic for 2 to 3 hours, possibly longer. And then if it's snowing, God forbid, it could be an all-day ordeal. There's been times where people get stuck on the highway for 8 to 12 hours. So, that is definitely something about living here that really sucks. I-70. Altitude. We are 9,000 feet above sea level. That is a serious rise in elevation from sea level. And the way that it affects you is it makes everything a little bit tougher in terms of everyday activity. If you're walking up the stairs, you'll notice that you'll run out of breath faster. Exercise is certainly harder up here. Obviously, that can be a benefit in some cases if you're an athlete, kind of like myself. I wouldn't say I'm a super athlete by any means, but I do like to work out, and I think that the altitude has helped my health. But if you're a tourist just visiting and you're just looking to do everyday things, even climbing up the stairs is it's gonna get you out of breath. Skiing is gonna get you out of breath. It's a very active community up here in the mountains because of the altitude, but the tourists will end up suffering. So if you're not from here, the altitude can certainly affect your health. I have friends and family who visit every year. Some years the altitude doesn't affect them at all. Some years it puts them on their butt for like 2 days. It's kind of crazy. So another reason that altitude can be dangerous is if you're drinking, right? You're on vacation, you're trying to lay back, you're off of work. I'm just gonna throw one back and hang out, right? Well, what most people don't know is that one drink at this elevation of 9,000 feet is the equivalent of 3 drinks at sea level. So again, benefit, it's a pro and a con. You end up having to drink less because you feel it a lot quicker, which is nice. You don't spend as much money on alcohol. But the con is that you can get drunk really, really quick. And if you have not acclimated to the altitude, that drink can really throw off your vacation. And I have heard countless times of people coming here, first day on vacation, they toss a few margaritas back or whatever, and they're hungover for like 2 or 3 days, which is the bulk of your vacation. So I would highly recommend that when you come here, maybe don't drink right away. Take a day or two to get acclimated. Drink a bunch of water because the altitude will affect you. Lack of industry. If you're looking to get a sustainable job out here, it's pretty tough, honestly, unless you're in the real estate business. If you're a builder slash contractor, if you're in the hospitality business, it can be really tough to find a sustainable job out here. I would say most of the jobs that the general population is looking for is going to be down in Denver in the big city area. So it's definitely tougher to get work out here, and you'll find a lot of employers have a hard time hiring, mostly because it's a transient community. Most of the jobs here can be done by practically anybody, so they're pretty low-paying jobs. I would say if you're a remote worker, definitely a great place to be because you get the activity, the lifestyle, the mountains. But if you're looking, to be an electrical engineer or an accountant, or who knows, like it's just not as sustainable for a job here as it would be down in Denver. It's expensive. Really, living here, it's not the easiest. I come from New York, just outside of New York City originally. And you go to New York City and it's expensive, but you kind of expect it. A lot of people, they come here not knowing what to expect, and then they find out that the cost of living is actually pretty expensive. The average dinner plate is between $20 and $30, so certainly not the most affordable thing that you're going to find. Housing here, I'm in real estate, I know better than most. Housing here is extremely expensive. The average home is about $1.2 million. Your starter condo is between $350,000 and $450,000. It can be really tough to muster up a 20% down payment for something like that. FHA usually doesn't work on those lower priced condos, so the FHA limit out here is actually about $930,000, I think, the last time that I checked. So definitely one of the cons about living here is that it is not cheap to live here. But if you're willing to work hard, you can make it work. It's a lot of fun and it's very rewarding.